Good morning. It's about 9:33 on a Friday. I'm not sure when I'm going to actually start posting this stuff, but I wanted to do something, I guess to show people who have colitis and IBS type stuff that maybe not that there's, well, no, definitely that there's hope, that things never are going to be as horrible as they started out to be, that there's always a way to get it better, but to show the human side of it, instead of all the writings and the blogs, to have somebody actually talk to you. And it helps me, because some days are good for me and some days not so good. I'm not too happy about it. So I guess this is day one, my first, I guess, vlog. So I guess today what I can talk to you about is the beginning for me. I know a lot of people are usually curious about that, and so that's what I'll talk about today, is the beginning. So the beginning was me pretty much having some minor toileting issues, For those of you who don't know about colitis and IBS, it's mainly toilet stuff. I mean, it's stomach stuff, but the thing that impacts people's lives is having to run to the toilet like every 5 seconds. You don't want to be stuck or having to run to a public restroom. You don't want to be stuck on a bus or in a traffic jam or anything like that. Like, those are terrifying for people like me and other people around the world who suffer. And so it all started off with me having some of these issues since I was younger, and that was mild here and there, but I can firmly remember, when I was in my early 20s, having severe cramping and pain and trying to make it to a restroom, and that happening like maybe twice a day, and that was that. And they say the average time going to the restroom for a human being is between 3 times a day or once every 3 days. Like, that's like the norm. And so I had actually, I'm within the norm, but the pain and the cramping isn't normal. So when that happened, I just figured, hey, I ate something bad, or my stomach's just acting up, and it became something I was used to. Later on, as time goes on, there are moments where I'm literally like running. I need to find a bathroom. Now, that was happening like maybe once every couple of months. It wasn't happening often, but there were times it's like, oh my God, I've got to get to a bathroom. Then, fast forward, and here I am in my late 30s, and it wasn't just I got to find a bathroom once every couple of months. It was I've got to find a bathroom multiple times a day. When it hit multiple times a day, that's when I was starting to kind of freak out a little bit. I mean, you're going 3 and 4 times before you even walk out the door to go to work. You get to work, you got to go again. You got to go a couple of times at work. You got to go before you head home. You got to go as soon as you get home. You got to go before you get to bed. Sometimes you're woken up in the middle of the night having to go again. Yeah, that's pretty much how it was. And that's when my significant other, my girlfriend, decided, hey, listen, you've got to go to the hospital and see what's going on with you. And I did. And then they hit me with a few things. They said, well, you might have inflammatory bowel disease. Okay. They say you might have simply just IBS. They say, well, let's check and make sure it's not Crohn's. Let's check and make sure it's not diverticulitis. And when they came back to me, they said, well, you don't have diverticulitis, you don't have Crohn's, so you don't have anything that's going to cause any permanent damage to you. And then I went and they referred me to a gastrointestinal specialist. I saw him, and he says, well, you've got microscopic colitis. Now, microscopic colitis is not horrible as people who have diverticulitis or ulcerative colitis. It's not. And so I want to put that out there first and foremost. And the reason why I'm putting that out there is because there are people who have IBS. There are other people who have microscopic colitis, either lymphocytic colitis or collagenous colitis, who might feel that they don't have the right to feel that their lives are impacted, that they don't have the right to feel upset and angry because it's not as horrible as these other things. But anything that impacts your normal life, you have a right to feel a certain way about that. Anything that impacts your normal life. So don't ever sit there and say to yourself, oh, I don't have these two horrible things. I don't have Crohn's or anything of that nature. I don't have a stoma, so I don't have a right to feel upset. This is impacting your life worse than anything ever has impacted your life. You know, if you're stuck in your house because you can't get out, because you're stuck on the toilet, that's not normal. That's not something minor. And then the mental things that it does to you, where you're terrified to go anywhere, or when people are going to the park, or going to places like that, the, amusement parks, or, they're going to festivals and such, and you're terrified to go. That mental stuff is also just as bad. So never feel like you don't have a right to be upset. You don't have a right to be angry sometimes. It's like telling someone who has, some mild form of cancer that can be treated, with some surgeries here and there, versus someone who has a cancer that is terminal, and saying to the mild person, oh, well, at least it's not terminal, so you don't have a right to be upset. No, that impacts your life. Someone's got to go and cut on you to remove the cancer on a regular basis so you can survive. Even though it's not terminal, you still have a right to be upset about that. So don't let anyone ever take that away from you. As I talk and as I pop on here from time to time, I'll tell some bits of what I do. I'll tell some bits of how I felt. I am doing a lot better than I was in the beginning. And I just wish that there was someone to talk to me and say, listen, this isn't the end of the road. But talk real to me. Don't just give me the perfect, la-di-da, everything's great. But tell me the truth, because I still have some horrible days. There are some times I'm curling a ball on the floor. But there are some days when I feel almost normal. And for those of you who, have these GI problems, to feel kind of normal, even if it's for part of a day, it's a godsend. Because there were days when I didn't feel normal for months in a row. And I ended up in some very dark places in my mind. And I'll go into that stuff as I pop on here every once in a while. So thanks for listening. Hope I haven't bored anyone. Yeah, you'll hear from me again.